Scott Smith here with General Manager Jason Licht as he is about to head into the draft room here at the Advent Health Training Center to get this 2022 draft started. Jason, you said last week that by the time you got to this point, 95% of the work would be done. But this is the 5% that's the fun part, right?
That's right. I'd say we're 99% now.
99?
Yeah. So there's always a few little finishing touches on that the day of the draft.
When you talk about all that work to get you to this point, that's a lot of people involved. You've described it as a collaborative effort, talking about scouts, the people in your personnel department, coaches, video guys. When you talk about the Bucs mini draft successes in recent years, I'm sure you'd like to share the credit with a lot of those people.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd like to give it all to them. So you can't do it without, the people that are in the scouting department. We have a lot of men and women that, do a lot all year long to lead us to this point. And then the coaching staff, as soon as the season's over and free agency, they dive into the draft. And, it's just a constant process of putting that board together, rearranging it, having discussions, meetings, watching tape together. It's a long process, but which it makes it a lot of fun for today for a lot of people.
Another thing you said last week is that, and you say pretty much every year, all options are on the table. I assume that means pick a player at various positions, trade up, trade down, trade out. But I wanted to ask you specifically about trades and options. Does that include not only you being ready to take calls, but possibly even initiating some calls?
Oh, absolutely. That process has begun already this week. We call teams, we receive calls from teams saying, hey, there might be a situation where we'd be looking to move up, we'd be looking to move back, and then we do the same thing. Just so if that situation arises, you've already had a conversation, they know what you're looking for and sort of what you're looking for, and that you might be a potential trade partner.
Along the same lines, you said something last week that I've heard echoed around the league, even by other general managers, that this may not be a draft that's really heavy on players you would give first-round grades to, but you think there's a lot of depth to the point that you can get good players in middle rounds. If that's the way the majority of teams view this draft going in, does that make it more or less likely that teams are going to want to trade?
It depends. A lot of teams may want to trade out of their first-round pick and pick up a lot of middle-round picks. We'll just have to see how the board goes, and we have had a lot of luck here in recent history here with a player that we have a very strong first-round grade fall to us. So I have a pretty good feeling that that's going to happen tonight, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I'll ask you to elaborate on that because I was going to ask you that next. You picking 27th means 26 picks before you, so lots of possibilities of things that can happen. I'm sure you've gamed out many, many scenarios. In pretty much all of those scenarios, if forget trades, you're sitting at 27, you think that there's going to be at least one player there that can help the Bucs in 2020?
Absolutely. I have pretty strong belief and confidence that there will be.
And one final thing, there is one change in your draft room this year because the Buccaneers have a new head coach. Bruce Arians steps into a consulting role, and he's going into the Ring of Honor. Todd Bowles becomes the new head coach. That means he's your new, main collaborator in there. Are you looking forward to Todd and how that dynamic might be different?
Yeah, well, I've actually enjoyed it already in the past few weeks. Todd and I have gotten together several times, going over the board along with John Spytek and Mike Beal and the whole group. So we've already had that. So it's usually on draft day, you usually kind of sit back and wait for the pick to come because you've had all the discussions. So we've already had that. But I will enjoy being in the actual draft room with him this year.
Great. Thank you, Jason. The clock's about to start ticking, so you can head on in there, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Appreciate it, Scott.